So hello everyone, and in today's video I'm going to talk about what are the top 10 worst Ark creatures. I know I did a video on this recently, but I want to revise my list a bit as I feel I made a few errors. So without further ado, let's just get straight into it. So in at number 10, I'm going to put any fish trap dino, that being the coelacanth, the saber-toothed salmon, trilobites, or whatever you're going to put in a fish trap. And the reason why I'm putting them at the number 10 spot instead of the number 1 spot, which I think I did in the other video, is simply because when you think of the Shadowmane as a concept on the whole, I think these do have a slight use, but still as creatures they are literally useless when you take them out of the fish trap. But I think still that Shadowmane use does add enough merit to them that, you know, they at least deserve to be slightly higher up on the list than maybe some of the other creatures here. So next up in at number 9, we've got the Archaeopteryx, and I know a few of you like this creature, but I think the cinema crops completely defeats the point of the Archaeopteryx and the glide suit on AB 2. I feel like if it was a creature that you could put on your back and you didn't need to carry the whole time, it would be way more viable as a creature, but I feel like it doesn't really work in the context that it's in. And again, a creature like a Pteranodon or something like that is really not much more effort, and frankly is less effort to take around than an Archaeopteryx, so I don't really see a point in it. Its taming method is weird too, and on top of all of that as well, it spawns in the redwoods, and who really does go to the redwoods by will? Next up, I've decided to put the microraptor. A few of you like this creature for its ability to knock players off mounts, but still I think taming this thing and getting all that done is just such a pain, and this isn't something which I'm really going to need to use. Dimorphodons are great for knocking health off players, and you can always use a creature like a Desmodus to pick someone off the mount and finish them off like that. I feel like, yes, this might have been useful, you know, back in the days, but now with all of the new creatures that we've got, I don't really think it's a viable solution whatsoever. You could possibly say in ASA, considering not all the maps are out yet, but I still think the point stands where that should not be a viable solution. And in my opinion, there are much better solutions out there on things that you can do to actually use, you know, a creature that is going to damage just the player on a mount rather than just the mount. Dimorphodons, like I said earlier, but the Desmodus is a great shout too. Coming in at number 7, we have got the Compsognathus, whichever one you want to call it. I'm sure most of you call it Compies, but I just added that segment in there because why not? Now, the Compy can only be tamed with prime meat, which already makes it even more useless than it ever was before. I think you can tame it with mutton as well, but the fact that you can't tame it with basic meat, and it is just an annoying tame that frankly you don't even want around, in my opinion, sort of is quite stupid, and I'm not down for Compy taming. If you like the Compy, I'm by no means stopping you from using it, but it really is not my creature by any means. It is just a small annoying critter to me, and I really can't get any use out of it. Again, anything that uses a Compy in, I would probably use a Deinonychus. It really is the go-to sort of small creature for doing those tasks. Next up, we have got the Troodon, and the reason why this is here is just because of the purely unnecessary taming method. The fact is, the Troodon is an absolutely terrible creature to tame, and I don't think any of you should be taming it, apart from, you know, maybe if you get the achievement of just taming all the Ark creatures, or you just want to fill up all of the, you know, whatever you're filling up. Either way, the Troodon is not worth it in my opinion. There's no point wasting baby dinos or baby gigas or your own live creatures for a Troodon, because once tamed, they're not really that useful. It's cool in concept and in thought, but I don't really think it holds up in the grand scheme of things. I think it is an absolutely useless creature. Again, you can feel free to disagree with me, and you can always chuck your opinions down in the comments below, but they are just my thoughts. So halfway through now, and we have got the lamprey, and although this can protect you from radiation, it still is not your best bet. A hazmat suit is going to be a lot better in the long run, and I just don't think it's worth it. You'll barely even use this thing unless maybe you're an ab, but still I don't think it is a viable solution. It isn't really a viable creature for me to be taming. I think it is an absolute waste of your time, and the ability isn't too useful as it's already taken up by another piece of armor, and that in my opinion is still easier to get than a lamprey. It can work in some positions, but still I think it is not really a great creature, and in all fact it doesn't really need to be in the game at all. In at number 4, probably not controversially, we've got the Liopleurodon. All this does is be your tame for 30 minutes, requires giant bee honey to tame, and gives you potential for better ocean loot. And for me, that's sort of crazy. I don't see the point in that, because Ark loot as it is sort of dead anyway. And all the novelty is gone because you can't just keep the tame anyway. If it was a tame that you could just keep, then that would make way more sense, but it isn't, and the gains really aren't that strong in my opinion, and I do not think it is worth having a Liopleurodon on your side whatsoever. They are not worth the tame in my opinion. Please do not go out of the way to tame yourself a Liopleurodon unless obviously you're taming all the Ark creatures out there. Coming in at number 3, we have got the Araneo, and in my opinion I have to put this thing here. A lot of Ark mobile players love it, but this is not an Ark mobile list. Sorry to you mobile players, but I'll probably be doing one of those soon, especially around the release of whatever the new Ark mobile thing that has been released comes out, because you know the Araneo sort of has the ability to, you know, not have any of the cave creatures aggro to. Not sure if it does that in normal Ark anyway, but still I wouldn't see it as a viable solution, and I don't really like taming them. While a cool concept again with that ability, not sure if it's on the PC or Xbox versions, that might be a mobile exclusive. It still wouldn't be the creature for me, as I just prepare and get some good weapons, because you still basically could get into a cave anyway to tame that Araneo, and they're a passive tame on top of all of that, and not particularly strong either. You're still going to get off them to get the artifacts too, so that could prove a bit fatal in some scenarios. So in my opinion, they're really not the creature to go for, but you could maybe argue it in some scenarios, but I'm still going to put them very low on the list. In number 2, we've got the Onyx, perhaps the most useless, sorry, cave creature out there. That's the wrong list. That's a list for later. Either way, the Onyx is just the bat that no one really likes, that gives you mega rabies in a cave, and you can tame it for some reason. Don't know why, but you can tame it. It's like if the Titanomira was tameable. It really has no use whatsoever. There is no point in you taming this thing. It is a waste of your time. It is awkward and a pain to tame. Again, the only reason comes down to if you want to tame every Ark creature in the game to get the achievement. Otherwise, there is absolutely no point of doing this at all. You really should not be wasting your time with this, and I do actually mean this with maybe some force. Don't do it unless you're getting the achievement. Trust me, it's not worth it. If you're a beginner and this is something you want to tame the right kind of bat. Tame the Desmodus. And in at number 1 is the Pyromane. Now, this might be a controversial one for many, but really, I hate the pay-to-winness of this creature. While it's only an ASA exclusive, there is a lot that could be far better with this creature. Firstly, who's paying for an actual creature in Ark? It is just so stupid. I hate what Snail Games has done with ASA. And for PvP players, essentially, if you don't have it, you're screwed, really. And this is why I have to put it in as the worst creature. Not because, you know, it's the least useful or it doesn't have a use or whatever. It's just because it is an absolutely stupid game design choice, and I hate what Snail Games has done with the game. And obviously this creature being introduced, I think it is pointless. It should not be here, and it is the worst Ark creature to date, and I don't think anything can really top it in my opinion. The top 10 most irritating Ark tames. In at number 10 is the Giganotosaurus, and the only reason why this thing really is on the list isn't mainly because its taming method is difficult per se, but Ark is an extremely buggy game, and the Giganotosaurus taming method is very buggy, and I have had so many issues with this thing over the course of my time with this creature, that sometimes I'll just go for a Giga, as I know for sure that tame won't bug out, and there's loads of things like it won't go through or it won't process the right thing at the right time, and this tame can be really annoying when it's buggy, and it can be one of the most irritating things ever, because it is so simple and you'll know you're doing it right and you know it's not in a blood rage, but still it is glitching out and you're not getting anywhere, and sometimes you just need to dino wipe or find a completely different one, even though you may have spent hours already trying to tame this one and you don't know why this thing isn't taming, or you think it will take a while. No, definitely you should find another one if you're having those issues, and those issues still exist quite a lot, and I've run into a few of those as well. But if you do want to know how to tame one, you can always check out my taming guides down below, and you should definitely work out how to tame one of these things, as these things are essentially just an upgraded Giga, and once tamed, they're really powerful, really nice, little, neat carnivore. Well, not really little at all. In at number 9 is the Bloodstalker, and the Bloodstalker is obviously very well known for its new and intuitive taming method. This thing's taming method is pretty much like no other Ark tame, unless you count the Desmodus now, but this thing did come out significantly before the Desmodus. Gen 1 has been out for much longer than Fjorda, but I'm sure you all know that. And how do you tame this thing? Well, the way you tame it is by feeding this thing blood bags, and gathering those blood bags, especially when you don't have a Desmodus, and especially back in the day, was really annoying, as it took absolutely ages. And again, Ark is a buggy game, and sometimes the Bloodstalker tames would simply bug out, or they would say you've done 100% of the tame, but you hadn't, and then you'd just be stuck there for absolutely ages until they did tame, or you just run out of blood bags and simply die. And also, to get 100% effectiveness is even more annoying, as you have to feed it other creatures first, which can be an absolute pain, and this is definitely one of Ark's most irritating tames. But once tamed, you actually have yourself a really great creature, and it's no wonder, because people do actually tame these things, and if these were rubbish, then no one would really be taming them. And once tamed, they are great for gathering hexagons, as there are many racing missions on Gen 1 that use the Bloodstalker, and loads of things will be useful with the Bloodstalker on Gen 1, especially exploring the ocean biome, as it can float on top of water like you saw there earlier in the B-roll, and it is also a really great swimmer as well. It deals a good enough amount of damage, and it can travel across the map really fast with insane agility, and on Gen 1 this is really your only option. Next up, we have the Managarmr, and this thing mainly does come down to if your game is behaving, and thanks to the net gun now, these things aren't the most irritating tame, so they are a lot lower on the list than they would have been before the net gun came out. As when these things bug out, which is most of the time, still to this day, a normal trap will not work at all. These things will just completely glitch out of them, and there's nothing which you can do. And considering how fast they are, you're not going to be able to catch up to one and just continually shoot tranks into it, unless you've got literally hours and hours to tame a Managarmr, but that is so inefficient, and you should really try and get a net gun, as it is one of the most useful things as well, and probably surround it by a trap for good measure as well, as it gives you a long period to build a trap around the Managarmr. And another reason why the net gun is so good for the Managarmr is you don't even have to really worry about putting this thing into a trap, as that is definitely not an easy task. But once tamed, you got yourself a great PvE and PvP creature, capable of a lot of things, but you should be careful so that it doesn't get stuck into things like it did there. But its main kind of fame is the fact that it can freeze creatures, and freeze creatures for so long, which makes it great for PvP, but it is actually pretty useful in PvE. If you're into freezing creatures and then killing them, it's a new kind of fun way to kill off some creatures. Next up, we have the Wyvern, and the reason why this is harder and more irritating to tame than the Managarmr is because no net gun is going to save you here for this tame, as its tame method is completely different. And if you're wondering about the Crystal Wyvern, if you don't know how to tame that, that is one of Ark's easiest tames, and it definitely is not deserving of the list. But every other Wyvern, being the Ice Wyverns, the Fire Wyverns, etc., like Poison Wyverns, things like that, those Wyverns where it requires you to go into the Wyvern Trench and steal that egg from the Wyvern Trench. Don't know what word trying to came out there. Re-steal, you're not re-stealing anything, but either way, you're going to steal that egg from the Wyvern Trench, and that is actually one of the hardest Ark tasks which you can do. It sounds very simple on paper, but you need a creature which is fast enough to get in and get out. You need to be stealthy enough that the Wyverns don't catch you until obviously you steal the egg. Then there's nothing you can really do there. They're all just going to aggro onto you. And then also you're going to need to get out of there as well with the egg and not die. And also you're going to need all of the equipment to raise that egg as well. But it is all worth it after all, unless you're on Crystal Isles. Just get a Crystal Wyvern, there isn't really a point. Get a Blood Crystal Wyvern even. But once you do have a normal Wyvern, their C-flap ability on the ground is really good for harvesting wood, and they're great carnivores. They can pick up so many things, they do so much damage, they're really useful flyers, and actually one of the fastest in the game. You can't really go wrong with the Wyvern, just be careful when taming one. And now this slightly does contradict my opinion when I was talking about the Giganotosaurus, but I will say the Giga is a much more irritating tame than the Giganotosaurus, as the prep is absolutely insane for this thing compared to the Kark. And this thing is just so much more irritating to prepare for, and also when taming, this thing can go really wrong, whereas the Giganotosaurus, you kind of have a little bit of like safe protection in a sense, that you're going to have Gilly when taming one, and you know they can't go into Blood Rage really that easily once you start taming it. Whereas a Giga, they are just some of the most annoying creatures. They'll either really want to aggro onto you, or they'll just simply run away. And yes, you can get them into a trap, but sometimes trapping them can be an absolute pain, and especially on ASA with the new Dino AI. And the amount of tranks you need for this thing is absolutely insane, and it will take a huge amount of time to get all of those tranks, and especially on official. And breeding these things is even more irritating yet, as on official rates it takes up to 2 weeks to raise a baby Giga, and who has time for that? But on my rates, the Giga on my world on single player will raise in about, I think I've got it as about an hour and a half when I timed it last, which is still a really long amount of time, and the Giga is definitely an irritating tame. In at number 5 is the Golem. And why is the Golem so difficult of a tame? And it's mainly because Ark has something called cannons, if you didn't know, and they are some of the most annoying things to control in the Ark game. Their range of movement is so bad. If you could simply just press WASD for the cannon to move, this would be a significantly easier tame. But trying to aim a cannon, especially on a Paraceratherium, if you're using that on Scorched Earth, it can be an absolute pain to trap this thing in the first place and then actually aim in the right place every time, as these are a moving targets. They move around, they can move everywhere. And also the taming resource is a bit of a weird one as well, being stones or metal, or I think it likes sulfur the best, but you know, you can correct me on that one if I'm wrong. I don't really do many rock golem tames, which can be a little bit irritating, but that isn't the most irritating thing you'll face. And once tamed, you'll definitely be glad that you tame one of these things, as they are some of the absolute biggest beasts on Scorched Earth, and are a must-have at some point, and really are a big Ark experience which you'll remember once tamed. Now, continuing the list, we have the Rhyniognatha, and this is definitely one of Ark's most irritating tames, but why else would it be on this list? And this thing is such an irritating tame, and the lengthy process through this is, yes, albeit fun, but albeit very irritating at the same time. And there's no point me just saying this tame is irritating without actually telling you how to tame one. Firstly, I'm going to talk about actually finding a Rhyniognatha, which is incredibly difficult as these things are really rare. If you're on normal Ark still, you can always use Creature Finder Deluxe, raise the dino rates, or do a dino wipe using the Destroy All Wild Dinos command, or the Destroy Wild Dinos command, not the Destroy All Wild Dinos command. Either way, that command will be on screen right now. And also you can check out my Rhyniognatha taming guide if you want a less brief summary and a full tutorial on how to tame one. In terms of the actual tame though, obviously apart from that initial prep of finding one, you'll need to find a male one, by the way. At least I think you need to find a male one. Either way, you need to kill that male Rhyniognatha and then get the pheromone out of it. And then once you've got that pheromone, get yourself something like a Bronto. The Bronto is definitely the recommended creature here. And by the time you'll be taming a Rhyniognatha, a Bronto will be very easy for you to tame. And also, if you want 100% effectiveness, those resources which were just on screen, you will need all of them. Yes, all of them. And then you'll net gun the Rhyniognatha. Don't even bother trying to use anything else. Then take it down to the lowest amount of health you can without killing it. Obviously, you don't want to kill it. It's like the Reaper tame. You want to take its health down, and I think it will glow a different color. It will glow like an orangey kind of glow, or obviously you can use the magnifying glass on official, or if you have mods on normal Ark, not ASA, I don't know why I'm calling it normal Ark, they are both still Ark, then you can obviously use the awesome spyglass, really great mod. Then before it's kind of awoken out of the trap, which you obviously use the net gun for that, you fill the pheromone to your Bronto, and then after that, I don't know why my pronunciation's so bad at the moment, but after that you do feed it to the Bronto, and then when it comes out it will impregnate your dino, and that's where you're going to need all those resources which were previously on screen. Then your creature will just fall over, and then the Rhyniognatha will come out of it, and then you have yourself a tamed baby Rhyniognatha, and unlike Reaper babies, it won't kill you. Speaking of the Reaper, in at number 3 is the Reaper, and the Reaper really is one of those tames which you can't say is an easy one, unless you're on Gen 2, but I'm kind of going to discount that, and it is definitely an irritating one, and arguably a lot more irritating than the Rhyniognatha, as you do not have access to flyers on Operation, so it is so much harder to start the tame, as this thing spawns in a significantly more hostile biome. But in terms of the actual tame, there are actually less steps. You just take it down to that low amount of health, then it will impregnate you, and then you just go around killing things with yourself, as in your person character, as in if you were gathering XP to level up, it will just essentially level up the Reaper baby inside you. You also want some Reaper pheromone glands, and then once that Reaper baby is born, you will have yourself a little Reaper baby, which obviously is just going to instantly kill you, but you know, you've kind of just got to get used to that, and if you do use the Reaper pheromone glands, it's going to be a lot easier to you, as it will think it is your mother. And then obviously over time it will kind of look more like a Reaper and less like a kind of earworm, those things, whatever those bugs are called, like earworm, earwig, it's an earwig, isn't it? It will look less like that and more like a Reaper, and then you have yourself a successful Reaper tame. If you want to know how to tame one easy on Gen 2 though, just watch Raj's tutorial and you have no fuss and no irritation. In at number 2 is the Basilisk, and this tame also does involve eggs, but not like something like the Wyvern, Magmasaur, or those kind of tames. The Rock Drake included in that as well. In terms of the Basilisk tame, you will need a Magmasaur, Wyvern, or Rock Drake egg. Probably Rock Drake eggs, as you'll probably be taming this thing on Operation. Then you'll need it to not aggro onto you, and then just drop the eggs, and then it will eat them. Sounds really easy, but it can go wrong in so many ways, as you have to literally completely eradicate every creature in the area for it not to be aggroed, and you can't aggro it yourself, and obviously it's Operation, so no flyers can be used. There's just so much prep, and also getting all of those Rock Drake eggs is a feat in itself, and that is even if the game doesn't bug out and then this thing doesn't even eat the Rock Drake eggs. Definitely a very irritating tame, but once you get it right and it's started, it's not too bad from there, and you have yourself a really cool, neat Basilisk, which has a wealth of abilities. And finally, in at number 1 is the Shadowmane. And yes, I'll agree, this isn't the hardest Ark tame, but in my opinion, it is the uttermost irritating. There is no other Ark creature out there which I kind of find
as irritating to tame as the Shadowmane in my opinion. Its tame method seems very simple, again like the Basilisk. You will just get baby fish in a fish trap, not baby fish, you'll get normal fish in a fish trap. Baby fish don't even exist. What am I talking about? You can tell it is very late on a Wednesday evening when I'm recording this thing. And yet, once you've got those fish, then you'll need to find one when it's sleeping, go up behind it, and then passive feed it those fish, and keep repeating that process. Obviously, you'll want gilly as well, so it doesn't wake up. But the thing is, these things come in packs, and they kind of do patrols, and sometimes some will be awake, and some will be asleep, and also they're really, really easy to wake up. And yes, with a trap, they're not the most irritating thing out there, but still, to me, they are the most irritating. I don't care what any of you say in the comments. This is the most irritating Ark tame in my opinion, and no creature can top it. But oh wait, I forgot one more.
So, thank you to my wonderful patrons Ekaterina Puchkova, Karina Thorne, Dominic Maciejewski, and Ethan Tapia, who have all supported me through Patreon or through YouTube memberships. If you want to join this list, then go join Patreon or YouTube members, but thanks to all of these guys.